Greetings, everyone. Welcome to the Goal Setting Success class by Best Laid Plans. I'm so glad you're here. We're going to have a lot of fun today. I'm Janae Knight, and I am joined by my producer, best friend, and husband, Bobby Cranford. Say hi, Bobby.
Hello.
I am just recovering from a cough I've had for about 4 months. I've been unable to film, but best laid plans, right? Sometimes you just got to do what you got to do. I know firsthand how creating goals incorrectly can cause those New Year's resolutions to fizzle out permanently within days. I'd be very excited to start the new year with my list of goals, and before very long, I found out that I couldn't do everything perfectly the first time. That is, I messed it up almost immediately. I'd tell myself I knew it, I can't do this. I'd feel like a failure and become depressed and just give up. But there's good news, because the things you're about to discover in this class have turned my once pathetic goal-setting skills into successful productivity plans and have helped me create my life to be better every single year. And I would like to get to know you better so I can share what I've learned with you. So please visit my Facebook page, leave a comment, or just say hello. Now, if you have not watched my 7-minute video on why the best laid plans go awry, be sure to visit my website, bestlaidplans.vip. That video will teach you how to create the right mindset and to explain what is happening when setting goals just doesn't seem to work. Right now, I'm going to focus on teaching you some goal-setting skills that will make a huge impact on how effective you are in reaching them. So let's start with an exercise to help you create some goals if you have no idea where to start. Think about things that you like about your life, things that you don't like, and things you want to change or create. They can be material or intangible. For example, things you want to improve, things you want to buy, habits you want to break, and skills you want to acquire. And you can mark them on your worksheet there right under description. This actually is a very good format for what in the trade is called a brain dump. Every quarter, every month, or every week sometimes, if you've got a lot of things going on in your head, you can write down all of the things that you can think of, things that you want to do, or just, even to-do lists or habits you want to do. You can list them all here, and then from this worksheet, further break them down into daily tasks or schedules or into your calendar or wherever you need to place them. Feel free to write down the goals you've already set there. We're going to go through and pick one and evaluate it for the rest of the webinar. All right. Okay, so now that we have a good list to go from, I want to tell you a little bit about the importance of setting goals. So I have 7 reasons to give you right now, and the first one is to give direction to our lives. While it can be fun to live without direction in the short term, in the long term, human beings are wired to need a purpose and direction, and goals can give that sense of direction and purpose. Next is to reaffirm our choices are our own. It is often easy to let others set our direction for us. We'll take a job because the family or friends point us in that direction, and then we'll follow the dictates of our boss. We move in other directions because popular media tells us to. The simple truth is if we do not set our own goals, then we will find it too easy to follow a path set by others. The next is to motivate you. While goals certainly give our lives direction, they also provide the motivation to get us through difficult times and choices. Perhaps going to college at night while working full-time might be stressful and difficult in the short term, but in the long run, being able to pursue the professional goals we desire will make it worthwhile. Next is to keep from getting sidetracked. Goals also serve as the destination for what we really want out of life. For some people, goals are measured in money or material goods, while for others, goals are measured in time or freedom. If we do not have goals outlined that suit our own unique perspective on life, it's easy to become sidetracked by life and by others. Knowing which direction to go makes all the difference. A clear goal helps you to avoid wasting time on the distractions and bring your focus back to where it should be. Next is to save time. And it's not only by keeping you focused. When your to-do list becomes too long and your calendar too full, then you can simply compare your goals to the list. which items help you achieve your goal, which items are necessary to your goal, and what items might be unimportant. It'll help us make better decisions. Just as goals save time, they'll also reduce stress because using your goals to focus your life and choices make it easier to make those choices. Should you take that new position at work, and how does it match with your goals? Having a clear focus will help you make those decisions. And finally, goals give you a measurable sense of accomplishment. Every goal you'll achieve, and in fact every step you make toward that goal, can give you a boost of energy and momentum to keep you going. Each success powers you toward the next level of success. This is why I like to create smaller projects for every month or week, and even smaller actions that can be completed in a day. You don't have to want to create a company or become rich or be the best in the world at something. You don't have to want to do something really big to be successful or to benefit from creating goals. If what you want is more modest and you don't want to center your life around creating something big, both are perfectly fine. Some goals have a big price and others have a more modest price. Some people don't want to pay a big price to gain a big reward. Others do. Either one is okay. And some people start with modest goals, and as they discover that they really can create what they want and develop more confidence, they set bigger goals. Whether you want to create wealth, become an entrepreneur, be the best mom you can be, or just excel at a hobby or anything else, what you learn here will help you. 3 things before we move on. I just had to say this, size doesn't matter, okay? Goal size is not your value. The size of your goal does not say anything about your value to the world. You don't have to want to make $1 million or save the world. Modest goals or reading books or being a better friend are perfectly fine. And do what you want to do, not what you think you should do or what someone else thinks you should do. Okay, remember, we're choosing our own direction, not letting someone else choose for us. And don't be afraid to change or even eliminate your goals, no matter how far you've progressed. And we'll get more on that later. So now that you have a list of visions and goals, pick one that you'd like to work with today. We're going to develop it into something that will help you create that focus you need in order to make it happen. All right? First, let's check it against the conditions of a well-formed goal. Remember, you'll want to go back and apply this to all of your goals. The first condition is positive. You need to make sure that it's something that you want, not something you don't want. It's a bug in the software, let's call it. For example, instead of, I'm tired of driving a junker, or I don't want to drive this beat up car anymore, you would reword that to be something in the positive. For example, I choose to enjoy owning a beautiful sports car. The bug in the software is that your brain really doesn't hear the no or the don't. If I told you to not think of an elephant, this is a classic example, the first thing you think of is an elephant. I mean, you have to picture that in your mind to know what you're not thinking of, correct? Your brain will hear those goals and say, oh, okay, this is what I want. It's not hearing the no or don't. It's basically because you're focusing on the negative, and that's the picture that you're creating. You want to create those pictures in the positive. The next step is to focus on what you want and not how you're going to get there. And that will be covered by projects and actions. You want to keep those on your brainstorm sheet because those are still very important and will usually come under one of your goal or vision headings. Let's see, the next qualification is it needs to be in the position of your choice. Your goals need to be in the position from coming inside of you. It needs to be only your business, not other people's business or not God's business. All right. I want to become a lovable person. I can't say I want this person to fall in love with me, or I can't say I want God to force that person to convert to whatever. That's someone else's business, and that's God's business. It has nothing to do with you. Your change and your goals, it has to come from within you. All right, it needs to be measurable. If it's not measurable, you won't have any idea when you've made progress or when you've actually achieved it. All right. So a goal for saving money, you can't just say I want to save some money. It needs to be I want to save $5,000 or I want to purchase a trip to Disneyland. It needs to be something that you deem worthwhile and valuable. If it isn't going to incite any passion in you, you're not going to want to move forward on it. Now, repeat this goal in your head. If you could have this today, this very moment, Would you accept it? Okay, what's the first answer that pops into your head? Don't overanalyze it. Sometimes the answer is no. All right, it can be a number of things. Fear of success, fear of change, they're both very, very common and very understandable. Fear of paying the price. If you set a goal to be a doctor, for example, you've got to be willing to pay the price of long hours, many, many years of school, probably a whole lot of student loans. So if your answer is no, you need to kind of tweak it around until that answer is yes. Some examples of well-formed goals that fit along with these criteria are: I choose my financial independence and debt-free lifestyle. Notice that most of these start with I choose, because that way you know it's from a position of your choice. I choose to have wonderful, loving relationships with my family. You want to make these visions or goals exactly what you want, as specific as you can make it. Bill Harris of Centerpoint, he's the creator of Holocene technology, he suggests that it should be so specific that if your fairy godmother paid you a visit and all she had to go on was your written goal statement, there would be no misunderstanding about what you want. All right? So we could start with, I choose to enjoy living in a beautiful house that is big. Okay, but we can get more specific. I choose to enjoy living in a beautiful house that is big enough to be comfortable for my family, safe for my kids, and close to church and work. All right? You want to give this goal its own page and add statements to this goal to make it even more specific. All right? In this example, I could even mark down the type of flooring I want in the kitchen. So using your goal along with these statements creates a vision statement that you'll want to repeat every morning. The first sentence or initial goal statement you'll want to review 2 or 3 times a day. Now, it may seem like it's silly, but this is what makes it real to you. It can help focus your brain in the proper direction to create ideas on how you can accomplish the goal. And the more positive emotions you can attach to this goal, the easier this becomes, and you will remain more motivated. That's the importance of repeating. The more you repeat it, the more you're able to visualize yourself in that situation. And don't feel like you have to reinvent the wheel. Feel free to look at other goals to get ideas or copy some of these. For example, I copied this one from Jack Canfield. He's the author of Chicken Soup for the Soul, and he writes many, many books. Large sums of money come to me quickly and easily by the grace of God for the highest good of all concerned, as I easily and effortlessly earn, spend, and invest over $100,000 a year. Now, this is very powerful. I still use versions of it multiple times a day. So now we are really going to nail this to the wall. Now, I am not kidding you, poor little Post-it. Use affirmations in addition to your regular goals. This is another powerful affirmation that I copied from Paul Sheely, the Learning Strategies Corporation. He created Paraliminals. I already have all the resources within me to attract all the abundance I choose. And another good one, this is Émile Coué. Right, pardon my French. He wrote this one in 1920. Every day, in every way, I'm getting better and better. I read about this when I was 8, and I've continued to use it my entire life. Yes, I was a real brain development nerd even back then. Along with the vision statement you've created with your goal, you'll want to add some affirmations like these. Along with the last 2 that I gave you, I suggest that you add this entire list as well. All right, you'll notice they conform to the conditions of a well-formed goal. And here they are. I choose to love myself. I choose my physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual health. I choose freedom. I choose to be true to myself. I choose to take charge of my life and create it the way I choose. See, this means recognizing that you're not a victim of the world you see. This means being honest with yourself and releasing any limiting beliefs you may have about yourself or your current situation. This goes much deeper than what I can cover in a goal-setting webinar, but here are 4 important points. The first one is to let go of the past. When you start hearing yourself say, I've never been able to, you need to stay in the moment. Whatever happened in the past, it has nothing to do with who you are today, and nothing to do with your potential to be anything, to do anything if you want it badly enough. Next is don't be afraid of the future. Don't waste your valuable energy on worrying about what might happen. 80% of the things you imagine won't happen, and the other 20% will simply be a part of the normal process of progressing towards your goal. For you Harry Potter fans, Newt Scamander said, worrying means you suffer twice. And give yourself permission to change your mind. Just because you take action doesn't mean you're committed to that path forever. If it doesn't work out, that's great. At least you know now that you need to go back and try something else. Taking action, living through the disaster scenarios, and coming out the other end with more know-how and wisdom is far better than not taking any action at all. What you end up doing is moving through the situation and winding up on the other side even closer to your goal. And finally, fail fast. This one I learned from Matt Clark. He's the creator of a hugely successful course called The Amazing Selling Machine. It teaches how to produce and sell products on Amazon. So anyway, the point is here that success loves speed. The faster you fail, the faster you know what won't work, and the faster you can put another plan in action. So don't be afraid to take action, and don't be afraid to stumble around a bit until you get it right. So now we evaluate our goal even further. This is where the popular SMART goal criteria is used. SMART is an acronym for these 5 words. Specific, which is clear and specific idea of what you want to achieve. Measurable. Be specific with how much or how many regarding your goal. This should be part of what you add to your main goal statement we've worked on. Achievable. Look at the skills you have or that you lack. You'll be making a plan of the exact things that you'll have to do to reach your goal. You want to be realistic. You think about the resources available to you and be realistic about the effort you're willing to put into it. Remember that price you need to be willing to pay. And time bound. You need to set a time limit to keep you motivated. You'll want to set both long-term and short-term goals. Think 5 years, 1 year, 3 months, possibly 1 month, although then you start getting into projects. There is so much more to cover on the subject of goals, focus, productivity, and creating a plan for achieving your goals that there isn't any possible way for me to include it in one class. But we've covered quite a lot today, and you now have the tools to set yourself on the path to creating goals you can successfully work towards. You'll notice on your worksheet that you've got both a type and a category. This slide refers to categories. Now, if you're having trouble creating goals, it's useful to have goals that are in these categories. Now, I normally name these categories a little different. Again, this is another slide that I had not adjusted. I wasn't sure that there was going to be time for it. These are the general categories that you'll want to be creating some goals in each one, and you'll probably want to make 2 or 3 vision statements for each category. We've got your career, education, family, financial, physical, pleasure, or what you like to do for fun, public service, or what kind of impact you want to make on the world, artistic, and your attitude. So those are examples of categories, and then you can go down all of your little vision statements, goal statements. You probably have some projects and tasks and habits on here as well, and that's what we cover next. You'll categorize them, and then you'll be listing what type they are. This usually affects how you take these and input them into your schedule or create a plan of action. First of all, you have visions. This is another word for the affirmations that we created. Then you have your goals and projects. When you start breaking goals down into smaller goals, I like to call them projects, because those are smaller chunks that you can put into like a monthly plan. And then what you do, you create actions off of those projects. An action, now a goal is, if I want to, I'll give you one of mine. My goal is to get my neuro-linguistic programming certification by the end of January. Now, that's a goal, but it's not really an action. I mean, it sounds great, but it doesn't really give me, well, what do I do with it? I can't just put that on my task list, for example. I've got to break it down into action. So what would be my first step that I would need to take? Well, I would need to Google online courses that offer certification or testing that offers certification. So that would be a good example of a first action that would apply to a project or a goal. Then you have tasks. What I like to call tasks are things that would recur. Maybe you have a task of cooking dinner 3 nights a week, or a morning routine that could be considered a task. I like to say tasks are the things that have a repeating, recurring basis. A task would be to spend an hour every day taking the lessons in the neuro-linguistic programming certification course. So tasks are things that you would list that have a recurring basis. Habits. Now habits are something a little bit different than actions and tasks. Say I have a habit that I want to create of drinking more water. That actually goes in a little separate spot that you would put in your planner. You would want to make something that you would make check marks off. Did I drink my water today? And you put a nice big X on the calendar. This is how you create habits, is by repetition and by disciplining yourself to repeat them over and over. Remember that you can't expect yourself to be perfect right out of the gate. If you miss a check mark, it doesn't mean, oh my gosh, it's over, I have to give up. There's no such thing as falling off the wagon. There's only the decision that you may have made to not get back on again. All right? Habits are not something that, oh, okay, I'm going to start checking them off, and if I miss one, oh, I failed. No. You just keep checking them off. The more that you can get, the more of those X's you can get in a row, the more motivated you get. You have to discipline yourself to do it over and over. It's got 3 steps. You've got a discipline, and then it becomes more of a routine for you. It's a little easier to do. It's more of a habit. And then the habit becomes more of an inclination or an impulse, meaning if you don't do it, it starts to feel weird. That's where you want to be when you're developing your habits. Okay, we've covered your categories and types. So what I want to review what we've learned. We've learned a ton today. There's going to be a lot going around in your brain. Don't worry about it. It will eventually come to fruition. It will gel. Watch the webinar again. Look over your notes. It will start to make sense after you go through it a couple of times. So today we've learned how to brainstorm new goals, why goals are important, that big and small goals are both okay, and that achieving small goals can give you the momentum to keep going. And don't be afraid to change your goals. I want to insert here, if you shared your goals with someone, please inform them when you do this. Personal example, finding out that someone very close to me, I'd been encouraging them and, all right, keep going kind of thing. 6 months after, they totally changed their mind and said, I don't want to do that anymore. And I just became a nag over something it wasn't even part of their goals anymore. So please, if you shared them, please tell them when you change your mind. Check your goal against the conditions of a well-formed goal and then recreate your goal to match. You'll want to add some specifics to create an emotionally charged vision of your goal. So you want to add statements with more specifics to develop your goal into a motivating vision statement. You want added affirmations to repeat with our goals at least once a day. And remember to make it a SMART goal by adding a time limit. Take action and don't expect to get it right the first time. Okay? And of course, be willing to fail fast. That is a whole lot of information. But please remember that none of this will work at all if you just say, oh, that was really very interesting, and then go about what you've always done. All right, right now, I want you to schedule a couple of hours within the next 2 days that you can dedicate to reviewing the videos and material, creating and refining your goals, developing a vision statement for each one, and then setting a due date on when you can reasonably expect to achieve it. All right, and then set a first action step for each goal. I don't care if it seems silly. Okay, just write down something. You can't tell if you're going in the wrong direction until you take a step. And schedule all of these first steps within the next week. All right, I would love for you to post a list of some of your first actions you're going to take right here on this page. You don't have to share your goals if you don't wish to, but you can if you'd like help in discovering what a first action might be. I thought it might be fun to see a bunch of first steps regardless of the goal itself. It might be the seed of ideas for goals that could be totally unrelated. Now, if you want to learn more, be sure you've entered your email address at bestlaidplans.vip to subscribe to my email list, and that you follow Best Laid Plans on both Facebook and YouTube. Remember to review the Best Laid Plans Go Awry video. It's also posted on the Facebook page. Don't forget to review this video when the replay is available. Now, I have something really exciting coming up in just a few days, so make sure you're subscribed or following and that you've got notifications on. If your goal is to develop the skills to create your life in such a way to get the results you want with the least amount of effort, then you will not want to miss it. I plan on creating a whole lot more of fun little things like this to help you achieve your success. I want to thank you so much for attending. This is Janae Knight, and I will see you soon.